Climate change is everybody's business. In a time of increasing consciousness about carbon emissions, changing weather patterns and food shortages, the regions of small island developing states, or SIDS, are amongst the countries that will feel the wrath of Mother Nature. Climate change in the Caribbean is literally a hot topic, and the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, CARDI, is at the forefront, partnering with the Technical Center for Agricultural and Rural Cooperation, the CTA, and other regional and international organizations in order to better understand the phenomenon through research and policy development and implementation. That was the thrust of discussions at the Climate Change and Agriculture in the Caribbean Forum, which was held in Grenada during the 2010 Caribbean Week of Agriculture. The forum's focus was on protected agriculture and adaptation option.
There are a number of things happening in climate change in agriculture within the last few years or so. The CIMH has been developing some programs, training people in climate change and adaptation and measurement and modeling. The 5 Cs have a major program in modeling the climate change, right? And we've been working with them to develop models for agriculture so that we could have some fair indication of what is going.
One of the key international organizations taking up the climate change mantle is the Netherlands-based CTA that supports the African, Caribbean and Pacific countries. Its director hints that time may be running out for some smaller island states.
The Caribbean and Pacific in general are suffering from problems that they haven't got in the first place. So the small islands of the world are responsible only for a mere 0.37% of the global greenhouse gas emissions, are among the most vulnerable, and they will be the most affected by the negative impact of climate change. So this group is much more than aware, much more than I am.
It's a point that many stakeholders are debating intensely. Who's responsible for mitigation and adaptation? The global concentration of carbon dioxide is in the region of 300 parts per million, the highest level in 4,500 years. In fact, humans have never existed on the planet with such a high level of greenhouse gas.
It's the agriculture and the forestry sector that's basically reducing the emission that would otherwise accumulate. But it means we have a gap. We have a big gap of about a half. And a lot of this debate has been how do we basically reduce the emissions so we can get the same kind of balance.
Participants at the 2010 workshop agreed that balance is key for island nations, most of whose populations reside in coastal communities. Rising sea levels can force these communities inland in a costly relocation process that few governments might afford. Then there's the dilemma of how much inland one can move if one lives on a small, relatively flat island, as is the case of the islands of the Grenadines, St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, and other parts of the Caribbean region. Small Caribbean states may only make up a tiny fraction of the world's population, but the question must continue to be asked: how is this problem going to be solved?
There's also the part that says certain vested interests that if you reduce emissions means you're going to reduce energy, or you make energy more expensive, this will cost jobs, it will undermine the economic recovery. So we find ourselves between a rock and a hard place.
According to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, global climate change is threatening the food security, health, and economic fortunes of the Caribbean region. The islands of the Caribbean are net food importers. They need to be educated and prepared to be self-sufficient. The CTA and CARDI have initiated the process of developing a strategy that will provide requisite information to the farming community in the region on the reduction of risk to the harmful effects of climate change on agricultural production. According to Dr. Michael Taylor of the Climate Studies Group in the Department of Physics at the University of the West Indies, Jamaica, climate has changed, climate will change, climate demands change. CARDI and the CTA will continue to look for the best way forward. to aid the process of adaptation, not only in terms of recovery, but also mitigation and response.